Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. I know it's after 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC when I usually upload. This week, it's just I'm behind on all these, and I'm still have, some stuff I need to get done. I'm really kind of pushing myself a little bit to get these out, but I can't be another week behind. So, for the next couple of days until I can get caught back up to the release schedule, we're probably looking at like a 6:15, 6:30 release um, for now. Especially since these songs are like 20 minutes long and my videos are 50 plus minutes now because of that. So yeah, this week we're gonna have some late videos coming out. So I just really appreciative of everyone who can be patient with me while I get caught back up after having to take the last week off. Um, but yeah, so today we're going to be following up with more classic prog. We're going to be checking out Yes, and the song is Close to the Edge. Jonathan Henderson, Ryan Pattison, Berserker, Super Stratosphere, and The Who Rocks 515 have all asked for this. I tried to get more Yes recommendations to put in here, but Yes is a very common word. It's very difficult to search for in my comment history, so I searched for the song that appeared to be the most popular. Um, so, as usual, I'll tell you again at the end of the video, but if you could put comments down for other yes tracks that I should be checking out, um, yeah, that'll be appreciative. Because maybe we should have like a yes band, all one word, maybe, or like yes underscore band, just something I could easily search for. Um, in the comments so that it's a lot easier for me to find the request. Because yes is like, yes, you did that. And I'm like, yeah, I did do that, but that's not what I'm looking for, man. I don't have a better way to parse these comments. So yeah, we're gonna be checking out Close to the Edge from Yes. This is I asked around, um, trying to figure out which version to do. There's actually quite a few remasters of this track. um, yes, the band has an an original release from the 70s and then a 2003 remaster from a deluxe edition of this album. And I've heard that the '03 remaster is not talked about too fondly by fans. The original would probably be a good place to start, but then I heard just the other day, maybe just yesterday, that Steven Wilson did a 2013 remaster that everybody lost their mind over. So I tracked that one down. That's what we're going to be checking out today. This video is actually the entire album. So when the song's over, there might be a little bit of the next song. I'm just going to pause it there, though. But yeah, the video is for the whole album. So yeah, let's see what Yes is all about. Okay, it's quiet, but we got some nature stuff showing up now. It's weird because it's definitely in 4, but it feels polyrhythmic, even though I don't hear polyrhythms. What is that fast 16th note thing going on there? Is that like a finger picked, like palm muted guitar line, or? Yeah. All right. I needed that transition. Yeah. Yeah. A little funkiness.
A season which could call you from the depths of your disgrace and rearrange your liver to the solid mental grace and achieve it all with music that can quickly from afar. Then taste the fruit of man retarded, losing all
Right.
against the hour.
So that was a 12-beat
Assassin points to no leading
phrase. I don't know if that's 3/4 beats or 4/3 beats, but yeah, so these guys are definitely playing around with time signature specifically, more so than the rest of the guys we've checked out so far. This one section sounds familiar. I don't know if it's just the sound of it, or if I've actually heard this song in a movie or something. That is a fat bass sound. Those offbeat snares with the bass like backing it, yeah. singing in triplets. No. Nope.
Sudden cold shouldn't take away the startled memory. All in all, the journey takes you all the way.
Actually, that might be quarter, and then eighth triplet, quarter, eighth triplet, da 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 da. I don't know why that's throwing me for a loop. Nope. It's quarter and then 3/8. Nice little bit of range there. This whole song so far is just lots of layers, though. Layers and time. There's a lot of synth stuff, right? Like even that low, to me that's yeah. A little bit of creepiness here, but mostly I think it's just like being on edge. It's just like tension, a very light tension, just kind of like creeping in. You don't really notice it's there, but this is a very tense section for not having much going on.
I get up.
So yeah, really great use here of using multiple timbres to have two separate lines, creating counter melody with the same instrument without really muddying it up. See, now that tension is like front and center.
I get down, I get up, I get down.
Yeah, that's really good juxtaposition there. These guys love their fat tones. Yay! That bass line just came in so dirty. Like being on a train, just barreling through. Not a great transition, but I like how the organ player kind of reined it in a little bit to make space for the singer. Lots of really great vocal harmonies in this track. And we're bringing this back from the beginning. every single one of those retardandos threw me off because they changed how like how much the slowdown was every time it came in. Yeah, I can't imagine playing that ending. So much practice and muscle memory goes into that. And then we go out with the nature again. Birds like a creek or a river, and that's that. I think. Yep, that's the next track. All right. So, yes, this is where we start to see a little bit more of the ideas that are present in modern progressive metal. Um, whereas this is just so cool. All right, so with Genesis, we saw a lot of experimentation with tone. Basically, the way that we can change our instruments, especially since a lot of them are electric. We can run them through amps and pedals and all sorts of different, electric devices and end up with different sounds. And Genesis changed their sounds a lot for each of their sections. Then yesterday we checked out. Uh, Dang, I am drawing a blank. Wait, no, yesterday was Genesis. No, yesterday was Jethro Tull. So yeah, with Genesis, we saw how they kind of worked with different tones. Yesterday with Jethro Tull, we saw how they worked with layering. They were experimenting with how many layers and how chaotic they could make a song sound by layering a bunch of simple parts. And today we're seeing another type of experimentation, and that is with time. There were the core section in the beginning, um, right when the vocals came in, was a 12 beat phrase. Now, this could be 4 bars of 3/4 or 3 bars of 4/4. I don't know. The drummer wasn't really giving me any hints as to where the downbeat of the bar would be, which is wildly in 3/4 it would be every 3 beats, 4/4 would be every 4 beats. So both of those have very different feels, but it's a 12 beat phrase, which regardless, well, actually, if it's in 3/4, then it's a 4 bar phrase, which is pretty standard. We hear a lot of it in rock, even in the past couple of days, checking out other prog rock stuff. A lot of it is written in multiples of 4. We see 4, 8, 12, 16 bar phrases, which is pretty standard. A lot of that comes from, blues and jazz, which where rock, really comes from. So definitely strong ties to 4 bar phrases and multiple of fours. If it is in 4/4, though, we have a 3 bar phrase, which is also kind of weird, but I think because it feels like 4/4, we get this 3 bar phrase, and it feels like the phrase is ending too early, and there's jut, not a jut. Is that even a word? There's this this harsh stop. Um, at the end of bar 3, and then they start back at the beginning of the phrase because it's only 12 beats, but it feels weird, at least to my ears. Even though I've played music in unusual phrasing or unusual time signatures, I've listened to music, unusual phrasing, unusual time signatures, there's still something about unusual phrasing or time signatures that sounds unusual. Um, and this is definitely one of those. When I hear uh, that opening minute or so, when the vocals come in, the minute or two that the vocals are singing, yeah, that song. I mean, that part just feels stunted. Like every time I feel like we're about to reach the final quarter of this phrase, we're going to resolve this phrase, we're starting back at the beginning again. The resolution already happened. It just felt like it was in the wrong spot. So yeah, we see that there. We see it also closer to the middle of the end, maybe like 70% into the song, um, where it feels like different instruments are playing in different phrasing lengths. Um, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, where maybe one instrument will be playing. Well, yesterday when we were talking about Jethro Tull, I think we were talking about emphasized notes, like which notes were accented, and that was throwing it off. And we were talking about how your accented notes can kind of phase out, and then when the two lines come back into beat, where they're both accenting on the beat one again, kind of line up. You can kind of feel this phasing. You can do that as well when you're talking about musical phrasing, because the accents give each musical phrase a sort of pulse, like a life rhythm, kind of a DNA of that melodic idea. Time signature does the exact same thing with the exact same idea of rhythm. It's a rhythmic identity to the melodic line. So you can hear if if one instrument is doing 12 bar phrasing and another one's doing 16 bar phrasing. Um, they'll slowly get out of sync, da, 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 and then eventually they'll come back in after they've hit the highest point. They'll come back in, and then they'll both have the same downbeat at the beginning of their musical phrase again, and then they'll slowly come out of phase. You can hear some of that in here too, though it's not as prominent. It was only done once or twice, I said, or I think once or twice, and like I said, closer to the end of the song. But a lot more experimentation with time and time feel in this one compared to Genesis and Jethro Tull. And I want to point out again, I'm going to say this tomorrow probably as well when we check out Pink Floyd, and probably the day after with King Crimson. I love how there's something new to talk about with all of these bands. They're all experimenting in very different ways. Progressive music is about experimentation, but it feels like modern progressive metal. Now, I've heard some of the people in the comments really drawing a line between prog rock and prog metal. Um, and a lot of that comes down to supposed blueprints or like roadmaps to how to make these genres. I I'm not going to get in the middle there. When I say modern prog, I guess I'm encapsulating all of it, but maybe I'm really only talking about one, but I don't know that I'm only talking about one. These genre lines and compositional identities are still fairly new to me in these genres, and if I get something wrong, let me know in the comments. But don't be too harsh about it. I'm still learning. I'm a student here. But there seems to be a roadmap to progressive music, modern progressive music, which looks at some of the same ideas. And a lot of these modern prog bands can they're all doing their own thing, but if you actually break it down, they're also all doing very samey things. And that's not bad. I mean, I can also kind of generalize all this stuff. I mean, so far the three bands we've listened to all have a very jammy feel to them, and their solo sections feel like jam sessions. Um, so, I mean, there's definitely ways that we could generalize, maybe overgeneralize genres. But when we talk about modern stuff, I feel like there's definitely two or three key things that encapsulates that genre, or at least this era of the genre. Um, but here, when we're talking about some of this classic prog stuff, it's just every band. It's like, yeah, I can talk about how they're jammy and they feel like it's a big jam session with these structured sections between your jam sessions. But at the same time, they're all experimenting in very different ways, and it's kind of like the Wild West. I said it yesterday. They just keep throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. And I'm not gonna lie, not everything sticks, even though it gets put into the song. Um, but I just enjoy that curiosity of seeing what can we do to push the music forward. Um, One thing I will appreciate, and I don't know where Yes sits in the timeline, to me, musically, it sounds like it comes after what we've listened to already. It doesn't have it. Well, I've already said that it focuses on. There's a lot of time experimentation here, and I know we're looking at one song out of each band. I don't want to make it seem like I'm generalizing what each band does, but just on this little journey that I've taken this week, Yes plays around with time, at least in this song. And time is one of the structures of experimentation that we see a lot in modern music. And to me, this feels a little bit more of a bridge than, say, Jethro Tull and Genesis. They definitely seem like their own thing. I can see where modern prog, modern progressive metal, came from that, but I don't see a lot of similarities there. This one I see, yeah, yeah, the future of this song is, something like Between the Buried and Me. I can see that line here. Um, but another thing I want to look at is the solos. Now, yesterday I mentioned that Jethro Tull and Genesis both have a lot of repetition in their solos. It's something we also saw in Brinsley Schwartz. Still don't know if I'm saying that right, but they'll find a lick or a riff that they like and repeat it a handful of times until they kind of move on and then hit another one. And usually the riffs are something a little quicker to show off a little bit of speed, maybe a little bit of playing complexity, but it isn't a large run of complexity. It's a single concept. Um, you don't really see that too often here. There weren't. I'm trying to. I mean, I got 18 minutes of stuff I'm trying to recall off the top of my head. Um, but one solo, I can't really think of any solos in the earlier section, but the solo that really sticks out to me is the organ solo right before we entered the slow penultimate section. Um, and it did a couple of repetitions. It would find something really cool, like dun 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 dun, but it might repeat it once, twice, and then move on. The solo had a direction; it knew where it was going, and I feel like it had stronger composition to it. That's not necessarily putting down the highly repetitious stuff that we've seen in some of the other prog rock. It's just that I appreciate it more because it has an ending. It has a sense of where it started and where it's ending, um, and it had a direction. It was going there. And earlier, when we listened to Genesis and Jethro Tull, I feel like they were more jam sessions. We're just going to keep playing, and after the 8 or 16 bars, when my turn is over, or when the jam session is over, we're going to go back into this thing. But everything in that section, in the jam session, is a free for all. You can do whatever you want, whether it makes, complete sense or not. And like I said, I enjoy that experimentation. It presents music that's interesting, even if it's not perfect. But here, this solo feels very crafted. It has a beginning, it has an end, it tells a story, and I feel that story really works within the confines of the larger song. It isn't just a jam session, it is a part of the narrative. And yes, jam sessions, chaotic sections where everybody's, basically improvising, which is what a lot of them feel like to me in Jethro Tull. Um, they can contribute to the story as long as they're worked in properly. But they don't tell a story on their own. The individual solos don't tell a story on their own. The cacophony tells a story because it adds textures or can provide the concept of chaos and stuff like that. It can add that to the themes of the music. But each solo individually is not adding much. And that's more of a preference thing. If someone's soloing, I prefer it to add to the story. Um, but I think just because it's easier to kind of grasp, because chaos can easily just be construed as chaos. and sometimes that's more apt to fail. I think it's a lot easier to screw up chaos. Even though I did praise Jethro Tull for kind of having a lot of that come through cleanly. I think they did a really good job with that. But back to Yes. Um, yeah, yeah. The strong solo identities, playing around with time. Those are the two things that I'm really attributing to this song and what I've pulled away from it. I do want to focus real quickly though on the the tense section, I guess we could call it. It was a synthesizer of some sort, and it was this big sound, and then not a big sound. It was more like it was a fat sound, but it was sitting in the background, and it was mostly these swells, and then the singer. And the thing is I mentioned that it's like a creeping stress, this creeping danger, this tension. But the interesting thing is, if you actually just focus on the singer, it's not that creepy of a section. From what my ears could tell, he wasn't doing anything that he wasn't singing in any chord progressions that we would associate with tension or fear or anything like that. It actually sounds like he was just alternating between, pretty standard, well, not alternate. He was using a pretty standard chord progression in popular music that's rather upbeat with a little bit of tension in the third bar so it can resolve in the fourth. But something about the background music gave me this concept of tension and dread, and I really wondered if I was just hearing it. Of course, I'm hearing it. If I was mishearing it, but then as soon as the organs came in, that tension just came front and center, and it hits, and then the organ comes out, and we go back to the very sparse section with just the singer in it, and he's singing kind of positively again. It's not too creepy, and then the organ comes back in, and I really like that juxtaposition, not just in the loud booming fear, and then the one guy singing, but I like how they were able to kind of interject that tension throughout the entire section, just swapping between subtlety and in your face. I don't know if that section lyrically is about tension or if there's something scary happening or something like that, but there's just this bit of dread that's throughout the entire part. But I don't think most people would really hear it when he's singing. It's really when the organ comes in and puts it in your face that you get that overwhelming feeling of dread, of something tense happening. And yeah, that's just really clever and not easy to do. Um, It's just kind of sneaking it in there. It's there. If you listen for it, if you have your ears attuned to it, you can hear it. There's a little bit of tension in there. Um, but I think your average listener's not going to get that. It's going to be a back and forth instead of, the entire section being tense. So, yeah, really dig that. Um, so far, I think Yes is my favorite band out of the three we've listened to, just because it uses more modern ideas that I appreciate. Um, like I've said, I don't want to put down any of the other bands we've listened to. I've really enjoyed everything we've checked out so far, but it's definitely a lot of the music we've checked out is a product of its time, and to my ears, it is a bit dated. Yes, feels more modern to me, and I enjoy that more modern sound. Well, more modern composition techniques. It still sounds the music, the audio still sounds like it's from the 70s with their tone choices and their instrument choices and that organ. What is with the organ? That same organ has shown up in every single band. It's just that was the instrument to pick for this genre, huh? Everybody just had to have that specific organ. Um, I mean, it's cool. It gives the genre an identity. A lot of metal kind of sounds the same because there isn't really much musical, or there isn't much instrumental difference between them. You get tone differences, Like, gent is super down tuned. I'm learning things. I'm learning things. And hair metal doesn't have as much bass to it. It's more, treble tuned. Treble tuned? It's more treble mixed. But instruments themselves are pretty much the same. But this pocket of time for prog rock has this organ sound. And I kind of love that it has that identity in the instruments. Like, I can listen to this and I can say, yeah, this is some prog rock stuff from the 70s. Or if it's something modern, this was inspired by prog rock from the 70s. Like, I can just pinpoint this pocket of time. I love that. Speaking of sounds, they use some fat tones in here. That bass, that organ at the end, those were some thick, like thick tones, man. Just like whoa, craziness. I would never ever ever make a tone that dominant without really attributing it to the story. Like if the story had this giant person or beast or something come in, maybe like a movie soundtrack for a fantasy movie, got like a mountain troll or something approaching. Yeah, yeah, we get something real bassy and real thick like that, but just for no reason, just out of nowhere. Ah, man, that's the experimentation I'm here for. I love it. It makes no sense. Like I said, I would never think to do it, but I love that they did. So, yes, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I guess if you're still doing it, I don't. These bands, I mean, the bands are 50 years old by now, 40 years old, so I don't even know if they're still making music. But yeah, so that's today's video. Um, I'm trying real hard to catch up. These are 40, 50-minute videos. Um, But I can promise that at least when we start doing black metal, which at the latest will be on Friday, because tomorrow we have Pink Floyd, Friday we have King Crimson, so then Saturday, as long as the black metal stuff is, 4 to 7-ish minutes, like I'm kind of expecting some of that stuff to be, we'll be doing two a day. We'll get caught back up. And, geez, and then the next week is here already, and that is modern prog. So there's more 20-minute songs. Yeah, I'm not getting caught back up. You guys, I guess, can just expect some 6 o'clock videos for a while. Um, Usually I record a day in advance, which is how I can guarantee that 5 o'clock. But since I'm behind, I can't do anything in advance. So that's what's up with these later videos. So again, I appreciate everybody's patience with that. We will get caught back up again. We will return to the 5 o'clock videos, and we'll get back on a standard schedule, including Patreon picks and Sunday personal picks. Selfish Sundays. Oh, somebody commented that. I think you should call your Sundays Selfish Sundays. We might have to do that. That is not my idea. I don't want anybody thinking I take credit for that. Someone commented that, and it was good. It was good. I think this is what we're gonna call them. Yeah. So that is yes. Those are my thoughts on yes. This is where you guys come in, and yes, you can put stuff down in the comments about the band. Yes, and what you thought about them. Um, that that joke's getting old. Uh, d- d- While you're down in the comments, you can like, subscribe, ring the bell. Also, if there's any other tracks, go ahead and put them down there. I guess we can do something like just put yes band, all one word, like yes band space dash space song title. That way I got something I can specifically search for and not get everybody just excited that I reacted to the thing they wanted me to react to. So that way I can actually find these songs. Yep, so that's it. If you guys want to hit up my Patreon or my Twitter, those links are in the description. We'll be doing a 10K thing eventually. Once I get caught up, I got an update video I'm putting out, and then we're gonna do a 10K live stream. I'm pretty set on that. So those are two things coming out in the future once we get caught back up. Until then, you guys stay safe out there and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.